I felt like a player on the clock for a little bit with them sort of staring at me. But thank you for your patience, gents. I'm going to hand over to Ian, and we'll have to use the boom mic as a socially distanced tool in these strange times that we live in. We've got a little presentation here, so we'll hold it up so you guys on the stream can see it. But I'm going to hand over to Ian straight away.
I've often been known as a socially distanced tool, so that's quite good. Steve, thanks very much indeed. Actually, Martin Dempster, our chairman, asked me just to say a few words at this point because he's obviously not been able to be here, and it's a very great pleasure to be able to do it on behalf of all of the members of the Association of Golf Writers who've benefited so greatly from the input from John and Andy down the years. Steve was telling me, John, you joined the European Tour in 1976, Andy 1983. In fact, John, you were a member of the European Tour 5 years before Steve was born, which he was very keen that I should mention at this juncture. But it speaks to an immense amount of input, obviously, on behalf of the tour. I asked Steve, do we know how many tournaments that you've done between you? And the actual answer is countless. No one has actually been able to come up with a figure, certainly as far as Steve is concerned. So we can actually genuinely say you have covered countless tournaments in your roles with the European Tour. And as referees, senior referees, chief referees, what you've done for us has been absolutely amazing. It's our job to make golf accessible to as wide a listening, reading public as possible, and the things that you deal with are some of the most complex in sport, and to be able to actually decipher them for idiots like us, to be able to then be able to take that to a wider audience has been invaluable. But even more invaluable has been the way that you've done it, the fact that you've always been so very approachable, so friendly, whether it's been on the golf course or especially in the bar at the end of the day. So we've enjoyed your company as much as your input, and it's going to be very, very sad to see you go. But I think that we all agree that you thoroughly deserve magnificent of retirements and to enjoy whatever it is that you go on to do from this point. And on behalf of Martin, I'd like you, I can't hand them over, obviously, but we do have a couple of little mementos on behalf of the Association of Golf Writers, because we are genuinely very, very grateful and delighted to have had an association with you down the many years that you've served the European Tour. So thank you very much indeed.
John, Andy, do you want to step forward and sort of accept your gifts? I know, as Ian mentioned, you've always been great at talking to the journalists as well, so maybe you could just say a few words in response. Andy, I don't know if you would like to start.
I would, yeah. Look, guys, I mean, I look at the people in this room and the people on the stream, and I see friends, people who have been with me throughout my entire working life, and my entire working life has been professional golf. I gave my first ruling in 1980 with the British PGA, and then moved down to the tour in 1983. And it's you guys that I've seen week in, week out, whether it's on the golf course when you're walking or when you've called me into the press room here to try and explain something that's gone on. I have really appreciated the courtesy that you've shown, not just me, but all of our colleagues. And I'm going to miss that. The one thing that I will miss, it's the people. You know, golf is a wonderful sport. And I'm in this because I love golf mostly. But the people that surround golf are very, very warm, and we've all got jobs to do, but we've never really fallen out. I mean, I really appreciate that. Thank you for this. It was unexpected, gratefully received, and thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you, John. If you'd like to step forward.
I'm going to pull that mask down just a little bit. I think it's fair to say that I learnt my lesson very early on from someone who I regarded for many years after that as a friend. And you all know him. Di Davis was a tremendous guy, great writer from the Midlands. And I seem to remember that in my early days as a tournament director, Ken Schofield gave me a tournament that had 168 people starting on one golf course. And it was up at the Belfry. And so under the watchful eyes of Colin Snape also. And we had a few problems in that it was in the middle of summer. It was a week before the Open Championship. And there were the summer storms floating about. And we were hit by a storm on the Friday, the day before the cut. And we had 2 or 3 stoppages. Back in those days, we had lovely buggies. There were only 2 of us in buggies running the rules side of things. But one of the storms knocked out the electricity generating area. So I lost all the power to recharge the buggies, and they did need it in those days. They needed charging during the day to work. And we had course flooding and everything was going on. And I did let several fairly well high-ranked players who weren't playing very well that week to go home. And I had really no thought except that the players were free to leave. I had no idea that, of course, being marquee players and former Open champions, some of them, I'd let them go without any nod to anybody. And Di, together with a number of the senior colleagues, sadly, most of which are not here today, they took me into the room and they told me in no uncertain terms, you're a complete bloody idiot. What you need to do is you need to talk to us and we will tell you what you should be doing, and you need to be honest with us. And from that day forward, I thought I must learn from that, and I have. So Di, wherever you are up there, I know you're up there, thank you for that bit of advice. And I've always had the greatest relationship since that day forward, I think, with you guys, or certainly from my side, it's been fantastic. Thank you for all the good publicity you give me. I certainly don't deserve it. And it's been a blast. I mean, it's been 44 years of extreme pleasure. I will probably be shedding a tear. I'm trying to avoid it now, but probably at the end of the week, there will be a few. But thank you for making, my life so easy. You've all been brilliant. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, John and Andy. Really nice words. And, on behalf of Scott and myself and all of the comms team, thank you as well for all the help that you've given us over the years. Explaining many complicated rulings in a simplistic way to us has been most helpful. And, thank you for your friendship and your compassion in various bars around the world as well. It's been a great time. So thank you very much. Thank you, Bryony. Thank you, everyone.